Bluetones have now ended, and what's the difference are you finding from being a member of a band to being a full-time solo artist?
Well, I guess the main difference between touring on my own and touring with a group main differences are obviously I don't have as much company as I used to have, and it's also a lot quieter in terms of the volume. So I just do the acoustic sets at the moment, and it's a completely different kettle of fish. I feel much more like a kind of travelling minstrel when I do this sort of thing, rather than you kind of have a group gang mentality when you're out on the road together, all in it together. But I mean, I very much miss touring with the band, and I always will, because it was always such good fun and very rewarding. But this is a new challenge and I'm enjoying it.
Do you think at some point in the future you'll want to tour with a backing band, your own?
Yes, I will be touring with a backing band later on this year actually. I'm recording an album at the moment, and I'm hoping to get it released around September time. And then there'll be another tour with that, and I'll go out with a full backing band and do it and recreate the record. I did that with my first solo record. But it's difficult to keep it all together for very long, because obviously a lot of these musicians play in other bands, so you've got to kind of line everyone's schedules up.
Who's likely to be in the band? Like,
there's no superstars or anything like that.
Just friends and
just friends and other, friends who play in other bands. Not necessarily big famous bands, good bands.
Cool. What have you found that's influenced you, that's different, that influences your solo music? Are there any like subjects that influence you, or news, or
no, not
is
really.
it?
I mean, I think it's as you get further into this. I mean, as your career gets longer and longer, and you'll be writing songs for longer and longer, it's the things that you're listening to tend to bleed into what you create less and less. I think you just start to develop your own style and your own method of working, and you look outward for influence a bit less. It's not to say that you're not like still looking out for good records to listen to, but that's purely sort of pleasurable. I mean, having said that, I mean things will always bleed in subconsciously, you know. But it's not like when I was younger and I would think I really want to write a song like this, and I'd try and write a song like that. Now it's more things just come naturally. You can't really turn the tap off.
Do you think you've developed quite a lot as a songwriter then over the past 17, 18 years?
Well, I think so. I hope so. I hope I haven't regressed. No, I think so. I mean, now I feel like a songwriter because I've been doing it for a while, whereas before you're trying it out and you're finding out how you get along, if anyone's interested. And now I just am a songwriter. I've just become it, just from hanging around long enough.
From a songwriting point of view, how do you find it different with, obviously in the Bluetones there was 4 of you who were writing together. How do you find it now when it's just you writing songs on your own, or do you plan to collaborate and write with other people?
Well, I do plan to collaborate at some point in the future. I mean, that's coming after this record's finished. There'll be more of that sort of nature of things for me to do, I think. But yeah, I mean, writing's always been a kind of solitary experience anyway. You jam ideas out in a room, and then it's always a case of you go home and you write things at home. You record what you've done in a rehearsal, and you listen to it at home, and you start to pull out structures and think about melodies. And so it's always been quite a solitary thing in that regard. The thing that I miss most is that then the next day, then you take it into a rehearsal room and you say, well, I've got an idea for a structure. Here's the beginning, here's the middle, and here's an end. And then the random things happen. Scott will have had an idea that's melodically completely different to what I may have foresaw, but it works better than my idea. And you don't get that when you're doing it on your own. You're not able to have left field ideas by other people suddenly thrust into the mix. And I miss that, because now I have to create things in a studio setting. And when I want to come back and alter arrangements or try out new ideas, you have to really start again from the beginning, which is quite a pain in the arse compared to just being able to say, okay, let's go for another take. But both I find very rewarding. I like losing myself in the studio and messing around, knowing that, you know, if you want, you can just press delete and it's all gone. But you know, they're both different. They're very different disciplines.
Okay. Having been in the music industry for approaching 20 years, how do you feel kind of like the way the music industry has worked and how it's affected you over the past kind of like 17, 18 years?
Well, it's constantly in flux, isn't it? And I think that's the thing that you have to bear in mind. At first, you come into the industry and you think this is how it works, but you don't. But you soon realise that it's constantly changing. Labels are getting bought and sold and closed down and opened up, and new media is opening up all the time. Nowadays, it's. I mean, in many ways, the playing field's still the same in that if you're any good and people hear you, you've got a fair chance of getting on. If you're not, I mean, it doesn't matter how. I mean, you can still have a lot of exposure to the world, but if you're not any good, then people will soon find you out.